What if everything you know, everything you are, began long before Earth even existed, before humans, before life, before even time had meaning? There was nothing. No stars, no planets, no light, just an unimaginable emptiness. And yet, from that emptiness came everything. This is not just the story of the universe. This is your origin story. Around 13.8 billion years ago, something happened that changed existence forever. The Big Bang. But don't imagine an explosion in space. There was no space yet. The Big Bang was the birth of space itself. In a single moment, the universe expanded from something infinitely small into something vast beyond comprehension. Energy filled the newborn universe, hotter than anything we can imagine. Within fractions of a second, the first particles began to form. Tiny building blocks that would eventually become everything. As the universe expanded, it cooled. And as it cooled, particles combined to form the first atoms, hydrogen and helium. These were simple elements, but they were enough. Gravity began to pull these atoms together, forming massive clouds of gas. Over millions of years, these clouds collapsed under their own weight, igniting into the first stars. And inside those stars, something extraordinary began. Through a process called nuclear fusion, stars began to create new elements. Hydrogen fused into helium, helium into carbon, carbon into oxygen. The universe was no longer empty. It was becoming complex. When massive stars reached the end of their lives, they didn't simply fade away. They exploded in powerful supernovae, scattering these newly formed elements across space. Those elements would one day become planets, oceans, mountains, and even you. Every atom in your body, every cell, every breath was forged in the heart of a dying star. You are not just in the universe. You are made from it. Billions of years passed, galaxies formed, each containing billions of stars. In one of those galaxies, the Milky Way, a new star system began to take shape. At its center was our sun. Around it, dust and gas swirled together, slowly forming planets. One of those planets, positioned at just the right distance from the sun, would become something extraordinary. Earth. But early Earth was not the peaceful blue world we know today. It was violent. Molten lava covered its surface. Volcanoes erupted constantly. Asteroids slammed into it from space. The air was toxic, filled with gases that no human could survive. And yet, hidden within this chaos, something began. Deep in the oceans, where heat and chemicals mixed in ways we are still trying to understand, the first signs of life appeared. Not animals, not plants, just simple, microscopic organisms. Scientists believe that these early forms of life were built on molecules similar to DNA, structures capable of storing information and replicating themselves. This was the true beginning of life. At first, these organisms were incredibly simple. They had no brains, no eyes, no awareness, but they had one powerful ability. They could reproduce, and with reproduction came change. Tiny variations occurred in each new generation. Some changes made survival easier, others made it harder. Over time, those that were better suited to their environment survived. This process is known as evolution. It is slow, it is relentless, and it shapes everything. For billions of years, life remained simple. Single-celled organisms dominated the Earth's oceans. But then, something incredible happened. Some cells began to work together. Instead of living independently, they formed groups. These groups became more complex, eventually evolving into multicellular organisms. Life was becoming more advanced, more diverse, more alive. the oceans filled with strange and fascinating creatures. Some developed the ability to move, others evolved senses to detect light or chemicals in the water. Eventually, life made its way onto land. Plants spread across the surface, transforming the atmosphere by producing oxygen. This change allowed new forms of life to evolve, animals that could breathe air and explore the land. Over millions of years, these animals became more complex. Some grew larger, some became predators, others developed defenses. Then came a time when giants ruled the earth. Dinosaurs. For over 160 million years, dinosaurs dominated the planet. They came in all shapes and sizes, massive creatures that shook the ground when they walked, and smaller, faster hunters that ruled the skies and forests. But their reign would not last forever. Around 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid struck the Earth, causing one of the greatest extinctions in history. The dinosaurs disappeared, and in their absence, a new group of animals began to rise. Mammals. At first, they were small and weak, living in the shadows of larger creatures. But after the extinction event, they began to evolve rapidly. They grew larger, smarter, more adaptable. Animals with forward-facing eyes, flexible hands, and growing intelligence. Over millions of years, some primates began to change in remarkable ways. They started walking on two legs. Their brains grew larger. They began to use tools. One of the most important of these early human ancestors was Homo erectus. They could control fire. They could hunt in groups. They were no longer just surviving. They were adapting. Then, around 300,000 years ago, a new species appeared. Homo sapiens, us. At first, we were not very different from other animals. We hunted, we gathered, we struggled to survive. But something set us apart. We could think, not just react, but imagine. We developed language, allowing us to share ideas and pass knowledge from one generation to the next. We created tools, art, and eventually, civilizations. But perhaps the most important thing we developed was awareness, the ability to ask questions. Where did we come from? Why are we here? What is our purpose? No other species has ever asked these questions, because no other species is aware of itself in the same way. And that may be the greatest mystery of all. Because the story of the universe is not just about matter and energy. It's about consciousness. Some scientists believe consciousness is simply the result of complex brain activity. Neurons firing, creating thoughts and awareness. Others believe it may be something deeper, something we don't fully understand yet. But one thing is certain. The universe has spent billions of years evolving from simple particles into something capable of thinking, capable of questioning, capable of understanding itself through us. You are not separate from this story. You are the result of it. Every atom in your body has traveled across time and space, through exploding stars and ancient oceans, through countless forms of life, to become you. And this raises a powerful question. If the universe created us, what comes next? Because evolution hasn't stopped. Technology is changing us. Our understanding of the universe is growing. We are exploring space, unlocking the secrets of our own biology, and pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. Maybe one day, humans will evolve into something new and something beyond what we can imagine today. And if that happens, then the story that began with the Big Bang will continue through whatever we become. Because this is not just the story of the past, it's the story of the future. And the next chapter hasn't been written yet. And if the universe has been evolving for billions of years, then humanity is not the final result. We are just a moment in an ongoing story. But to understand where we might be going, we need to look deeper into what we actually are. Because being human is more than just having a body. It's having a mind, a consciousness, a sense of self. Somewhere along the journey of evolution, the human brain developed the ability not just to react, but to reflect, to think about thinking, to imagine things that don't exist, to remember the past and plan for the future. This ability transformed everything. Early humans began to form small groups, sharing knowledge through language. They passed down survival techniques, hunting strategies, and eventually, stories. Stories became the foundation of human culture. They explained the unknown. They gave meaning to existence, and they connected people across generations. But as humans evolved, something else began to grow. Curiosity. The desire to understand not just how to survive, but why the world works the way it does. Why does the sun rise and set? What are the stars? What happens after death? For thousands of years, humans created myths and beliefs to answer these questions. Different civilizations imagined gods, spirits, and forces controlling the universe. But eventually, a new way of thinking began to emerge. Observation, experimentation, science. Instead of guessing, humans began to investigate reality. And with that, our understanding of the universe started to expand rapidly. We discovered that Earth is not the center of everything, that we are part of a solar system, that our sun is just one star among billions in a galaxy, and that our galaxy is just one among countless others. The universe suddenly became much bigger than we had ever imagined, and at the same time, we began to understand ourselves. Inside the human brain are billions of neurons, constantly sending signals, forming thoughts, emotions, and memories. This complex network gives rise to consciousness. But here's the mystery. We still don't fully understand how. How does electrical activity in the brain create awareness? How do physical processes produce something as intangible as thoughts? This question remains one of the greatest mysteries in science. Some believe consciousness is simply a byproduct of complexity. Others believe it may be something more fundamental, something deeply connected to the universe itself. If that's true, then consciousness didn't just appear randomly. It may have always been a part of reality, waiting to emerge, and humans are one of the ways it has expressed itself. But if consciousness is part of the universe, then what does that say about our purpose? Are we just a result of random processes, or are we part of something larger? These questions don't have simple answers, but they lead us to something important. Humans are not just observers of the universe. We are participants in it. Everything we do, every thought, every action, becomes part of the ongoing story of existence. And in recent history, that story has begun to accelerate. In just a few thousand years, humans have gone from simple tools to advanced technology. We built cities, we created languages, we developed systems of knowledge, and then, in a relatively short period of time, we entered an age of rapid transformation. The modern world. In the last few centuries, scientific discoveries have completely changed how we see reality. We've explored the smallest particles of matter. We've mapped the structure of DNA. We've built machines capable of processing information faster than any human mind. And perhaps most importantly, we've begun to explore space. We've sent spacecraft beyond our planet. We've walked on the moon. We've looked deeper into the universe than ever before, observing galaxies billions of light years away. Each discovery reveals something new, something unexpected, something that raises even more questions. Because the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know. What is dark matter? What is dark energy? Are we alone in the universe? These questions are still unanswered, but they push us forward. They drive exploration. They fuel curiosity, and they remind us that the story of humanity is far from over. But there's another side to this progress, a more complex one. Humans gain more knowledge and power. We also face new challenges. Technology is changing how we live, how we think, and even how we interact with each other. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and advanced computing are beginning to reshape what it means to be human. We are no longer just evolving naturally. We are beginning to influence our own evolution. And this raises a powerful question. If humans can change themselves, then what will we become? Will we remain as we are, or will we transform into something entirely new? Some scientists believe that in the future, humans may merge with technology, enhancing intelligence, extending lifespan, even altering the limits of the human body. Others believe we may spread beyond Earth, becoming a multiplanetary species, living on Mars, exploring distant worlds, continuing the journey that began billions of years ago. But no matter what the future holds, one thing remains constant. We are part of the universe, not separate from it. The atoms that make up our bodies were created in stars. The energy that fuels our lives comes from the sun. The laws that govern the universe also govern us. We are connected to everything that came before us, and everything that will come after. So when you ask, what existed before humans? The answer is not just stars and galaxies. It is a chain of events stretching back to the very beginning of time, a process of creation, destruction, and transformation. A story that led, step by step, to the emergence of life, and eventually, to us. And when you ask, how did humans become what they are today? The answer is just as complex. It is evolution, it is adaptation, it is curiosity, it is the ability to question, to learn, and to imagine. But perhaps the most important question is not about the past, it is about the future. Because right now, you are living in a moment that will one day become history, a moment that will shape what comes next. The universe has already created stars, planets, and life. Now, through humans, it is creating ideas, civilizations, possibilities, and maybe something even greater. Because this story is not finished, not even close. The universe is still expanding, life is still evolving, and humanity is still changing. So the real question is not just where we came from, it's where we are going, and whether we will understand our place in this vast, mysterious universe before it's too late.